In Covington, Kentucky, although our hosts tell us it's really Independence, Kentucky. Sunday morning. Been thinking about President Bush the first and President W. Bush, the second President Bush. Boy, do I ever have more respect for the first President Bush than for the current one. For a lot of reasons, not the least of which is that when he decided that he was going to have to stop Iraq from invading Kuwait, he gathered a group of nations together. And of course, W was not aware, no one was aware, expected 9/11. But gee, as he came in, he swaggered and made it clear we're going to go it alone, do what we think we ought to do. We don't care what our allies, let alone our critics, have to say. We will decide and we will do. If he had deliberately planned to offend our friendly nation friends, he couldn't have done a better job. It's a miracle that we've had as much support as we've had. The first President Bush not only gathered in the allies, he set, with the help of Colin Powell and the Joint Chiefs of Staff and, the whole works, set limited objectives and went in and achieved them in a remarkably short amount of time. I know I had dreaded that war. I could just see all those dead kids coming back. And we had kids the age of our kids that were in the service at that time. Our own immediate family, no. Well, when I marched in a parade afterwards, I was so happy to march because we had not only won the war, we had not had a whole lot of deaths. Even though an Alamosa boy and his crew in an airplane shot down, probably the plane being misused, the Weaver boy from Alamosa, Colorado. There certainly were fatalities, and you're just as dead and your family's just as devastated when it's your son only as when it's millions, or in the case of this war, thousands that are killed. But he set the limited objectives, he met it, and he got out of there. Came home. Hooray, cheers, cheers, cheers. And by contrast, even if he was being a flashy hound dog, silly man to make his great landing on that ship and declare victory, my gosh, if he had just declared victory and got out, W would be looking pretty good. But how naive. We're going to change the world. We're going to sell democracy. We're going to this. We're going to that. And then when that doesn't work, we'll set some new objectives. And now the objective is we can't leave because of the mess we've made. Think about that for a while. Overall, the first President Bush, I rate him very highly. And by the way, I rate his wife highly. Oh, that lady, Barbara, what a lady. And Laura Bush, well, I wish she was in charge and not her husband. A lot more common sense there on that side of that marriage. Well, she salvaged him when he was a drunk. God does help people, and what a help God was to send Laura into the life of George W. Bush. But as much as I admire the first President Bush, my article, my little blurb for YouTube just before this had to do with dirty politics. Are politics and dirty politics the same? Well, I'd like to think that it wasn't President Bush, the father's idea. But what a dirty, dirty trick he played on America when he recommended A black man who is not at all able or willing to understand the plight of so many of our black citizens, let alone understand the plight of our poor, incidentally, our increasingly, proportionately speaking, our increasing poor population in the United States, when he put Clarence Thomas on the Supreme Court. How dirty, dirty, dirty. You know, with a little bit of luck, that Republican establishment that doesn't want to see that part of the population really represented and taken care of, we probably can, if we're a little bit lucky, go 30 or 40 years. This man's a young man, this toad that we've put in there. That he's indebted to us. He knows who put him there and what put him there. Dirty, dirty politics. They say all's fair in love and war, so I guess politics is war. And we seem to be in a situation where we're not having people run for office to represent the citizens of the United States. We have politicians running to represent the interests of their party. And to heck with the rest of us, and the poor, and the increasingly nearly poor. I get amused at how many of my family have voted Republican because they've been led to believe that it's Christian and moral to do so, and led to believe that they are among the appointed. Huh. Most of them are like me. Got to be pretty careful with that dollar, or we're going to be wondering where the next meal's coming from. More and more we're moving towards being a society controlled for money, 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 and for power, 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 and to heck with the rest of it. Let's reverse the trend.